Gentlemen, esteemed members of the Diplomatic Academy of Vienna, in particular Ambassador Emil Brix and Mrs. Brix, dear students, I would like to firstly thank Ambassador Emil Brix for the invitation to the 2 days inauguration on the occasion of the academic year 2018-2019. Our friendship, if I may so characterize it, Emil Brix and I, goes back to a long way to our common studies at the University of Vienna. We both, I think, studied history. So far as I remember, Emil Brix was always surrounded by elegant ladies. And I was always impressed by his contributions in discussions that were always presented with a smile and in a sonorous voice. After graduation, Emil Brix chose a political and diplomatic career where I stayed in science and research. From time to time, I met you. I remember at the airport in London once, at the embassy in Moscow and Krakow, or at the Polish Academy in Vienna. I'm really glad that he is now acting as the director of the Diplomatic Academy, coming home, bringing so much experience with him that will help the Academy to develop further. Emil Brix and I, we are, how to say, überzeugte Europäer, convinced Europeans, if this is a correct translation. We believe that the European Union is a project which overcomes history. The long-lasting German-French hostility, and I grew up in Germany and I got some taste of that German history, German-French hostility that disappeared. The tension in Middle and Central Europe are replaced by cooperation and friendship. And if we European people work together and share our resources, Europe can build up an independent navigation system, can shoot rockets into space, and build up a high-performance computer center that is more powerful than most of the HPC's high-performance computers in China and the US. Cooperation is the key, and to build up and to maintain this cooperation, qualified, multilingual, and well-trained persons are necessary. Therefore, I feel pleasure and a strong motivation to come always here to the Diplomatic Academy. We need well-trained Europeans more urgently than ever before. The European Union is currently facing a challenging environment. There have been several crises in the recent years, such as the financial crisis, especially the migration crisis, which maybe is more important and accurate than the financial crisis. They have shaken the confidence within the European Union without any question. Brexit is fast approaching and still holds on great uncertainties. But also globalization, digitization, robotics, and a new way of production in industry are showing far-reaching consequences for the future of work and the future need for skills and competences. Demographic developments and climate change are further issues which lead to uncertainty in the society. In these networks of complexity, the European Union often has an underestimated reservoir of forces or forces to manage or to solve the issues addressed above. Together we are strong, and I follow our President van der Bellen when he argues against the Verzwergung of the nation states. Do you understand the term Verzwergung? This is a process to recognize that European countries are dwarfs. Zwerge, dwarfs in a global perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, the discussion on the future of Europe is in full swing at various levels, leading to fears and concerns among citizens. The discussion includes areas for which I'm responsible now, for education, science and research and innovation. And let me address these policy areas, and let me address in short words what's going on in education first. You know that the European Union, you know, or maybe you will know, that the European Union has no regulatory competence in the fields of education. There isn't a common education policy at a member state level. There is only an added value of EU educational cooperation, but not in legislation, but in developing common perspective and exchange of experience. This is exactly the approach that offers some potential. Cooperation at a European level can provide important impetus for national development without seeking harmonization of the national education system, which is completely out of any realistic discussion. So it's up to the member states when they can achieve together something like mutual work. Now we have the Austrian presidency, and we have some significant stands in the field of education and science. We are able now to set the discourse for the future of strategic educational cooperation. What do? First, we try to develop some common vision for common educational area, den gemeinsamen Bildungsraum. In 2025, we set up and discussed this vision of a Bildungsraum with the member states. In the core of that vision is a Europe in which learning, studying, and research would not be limited. A continent where it has become the norm that one spends time for studying, learning, and working in another member state, and where it is common to speak two further languages beside one's own native language. I have to say openly, I'm far away from that target, but nevertheless, it's not the vision for me, it's a vision for you. Another main important task is Erasmus. So we are negotiating now the whole Erasmus program. Over the last 30 years, thanks to Erasmus program, around 9 million people have studied, completed, trained, or volunteered in another country. What we call now is the Erasmus generation. And almost anyone who has participated in that Erasmus program has proven to have excellent job opportunities. In the December Council 2017 in Gothenburg, the head of states concluded and called for greater mobility and exchanges, including through a strengthened, inclusive, and expanded Erasmus program. The Commission answered and increased the Erasmus budget, and it doubled it from 14 billion to 30 billion euro. And this is a remarkable increase. We have now the ambitions to speed up the negotiation on Erasmus. We hope for what is called partial general approach, teilweise allgemeine Einigung. You will know more exactly what this is meaning, this partial general approach. We try to make it maybe in November, I hope. Cross your fingers. This would be a wonderful success and a concrete result of our presidency. But there is no promise. And if there is any media person here, no, oh, that's fine. Because then I can read it in the newspaper. Minister Faßmann promised to have a partial general approach. Another fascinating project in the domain of education is the construction of the European University. This is a bright idea of Emmanuel Macron, first time offered in his famous Sorbonne speech. And he promotes cross-border, or he asks for more cross-border cooperation of European universities. And the idea is European universities should intensify the way of cooperation. They should develop common study programs, and maybe at the end of that common study programs, there is an merger or an institutional merger, at least there are contracts guarantee that this cooperation between universities is long-lasting cooperation. And this building of cooperation university, then it's called European University. The European Commission still opened the call, and we will see the concrete reaction and plans of the different universities. The last dossier of the Austrian presidency will be the recommendation for mutual recognition of school and university degrees. Also die Empfehlungen der gegenseitigen Anerkennung von Schul- und Universitätsabschlüssen. This is important. It's more important than the title offer. Because if you have some mobility between different countries, then you need a mutual recognition of the titles and the school degrees. We are far in the way of recognition of the mutual titles in terms of university, because we have a common quality assurance system behind most of the university study programs. But we want to reach it also for the secondary school system. I have to say openly, we are far away from this common secondary school system where the degrees of one school is recognized in another country. My second responsibility is in the field of research and innovation. Both are in the Lisbon Treaty, and therefore we have a strong legal base for doing it. The European Union promotes research, technological development, and innovation through framework programs since the 1980s. Austria has been and still is particularly successful in participating in European research programs. Nobody knows, but Austria ranks second in the EU, ex aequo with France, in terms of the success rate in the ongoing framework program. And Austria has raised up to now more than €1 billion from Horizon 2020. And this is really remarkable, and we have the right to be proud of it. Horizon Europe, that's a wonderful name. Europe is in the center, and there is a horizon. So Horizon Europe, I have a lot of sympathy for that term, is the name of the next framework program. Currently, in the framework of the presidency, we are, or I am, negotiating this Horizon Europe program. The proposed budget of that program is around 100 billion euro over the course of 7 years. I don't know what 100 billion euro is in real terms, but it's a lot of money to support research. And it's the greatest research funding pot in the world. Only to illustrate, when Europe work together, there can be something attractive. Could be an output of it. The architecture of Horizon Europe foresees 3 main pillars. The first pillar, which support excellent science within a bottom-up approach through mobility schemes. I'm sure you heard about the Marie Sklodowska-Curie actions, and the European Research Council. And the European Research Council grants have established themselves as something like a gold standard for research excellence. These grants offer young researchers startup capital to establish themselves in the research community, and the amount of grant is around 1.5 million euros. So if you want to make career, try to get a starting grant. That's a guarantee to have some career. If somebody apply for a vacant position in my former university, but I'm sure it's the same like here, and he or she is a starting or consolidator or advanced grant holder, he or she receives appreciation, but not only, and will be ranked on the top of the list of the candidates. especially the starting grant. Starting grant, people are eligible for starting grants, I think, up to 7 years after the PhD. So most of you, I look in your faces, could be eligible for that grant. But I do not want to disturb your curriculum, so concentrate on the diplomatic academy and make the grant maybe later. Especially the starting grant is very useful because it allows younger researchers to become earlier independent. The second pillar of Horizon Europe, this is the thickest pillar in terms of budget. Environmental, social or economical challenges should be solved or at least addressed by research. Through different and specific calls, the potential of research should be unlocked. Concrete challenges are within this second pillar, so answers how we can manage the climate change, or how we can guarantee food security, or renewable energy, or sustainable mobility, and many other topics are in that second pillar of Horizon Europe. A new instrument will be the so-called missions. Missions is a really large project. An ocean without plastic could such a mission be, and to realize this mission, basic research, applied research, and concrete implementation instruments are necessary. The third pillar will essentially focus on scaling up, breakthrough, and market-creating innovation by establishing a European Innovation Council. Research with impact is a motto. The publication of research results is important in peer-reviewed journals, but the creation of spin-up based on research results is important as well. Specific calls and grants are planned. The research program Horizon Europe is attractive, important, and full of different stakeholder interests. You know what different stakeholder interests mean. A lot of latent conflicts in our negotiations. But we are negotiating with full power. There is also a chance for a partial general approach. And many member states urge us to speed up. Next year the election in the European Parliament. A new commission will be formed. That takes time. And our successor as presidency will be Romania, which is not so experienced in that function as Austria is. But once again, quality outranks speed. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see that current topics in education, research and innovation are both broad in content and broad in their future implication on an international level as well as on a national level. The process of Europeanization in that areas is going on, and I am confident that this is necessary and will contribute to our common European and our national future. For this Europeanization, we need competent and well-qualified Europeans, and I'm full of trust that you will be trained in a European spirit and that you will contribute to the realization of the European vision in one or another way. So good luck for your study program and enjoy the time spent in the Diplomatic Academy and in the city. The city and the academy are great places to spend a wonderful time. Build up a personal network and use parties and celebrations not only as amusements, but also as investments. And this is, I think, a good argument if your parents call you on and ask what you are doing all the time. Say, I'm investing in my networks. Increase your knowledge about Europe and train to solve conflicts and to negotiate successfully. The professors here are well qualified, charismatic, and open-minded. Some of them I have the pleasure of knowing personally, and I appreciated them very much. They will offer a singular learning environment. I wish you, my dear students, all the best and good luck for the upcoming academic year. Thank you very much.